Hey, welcome to the pull list for June 19th, 2013, presented by LongboxRadio.com. It's a big week for comic books, actually, compared to previous weeks. This is actually not from this week. This is from last week or so. It's called Killjoys, and that's coming to us from Dark Horse Comics. And it's written by Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance fame. And don't know a whole lot about the guy. Heard a couple interviews with him, heard an extended podcast with him, and he actually seems like a down-to-earth dude. Not a huge fan of the band in any capacity, but the guy himself seems to know his way around comic books and whatnot, so I'll actually check this out. I doubt I'll be picking up on any regular basis, but I'll at least give him that. Supergirl, coming to us from DC Comics. This is my only DC book of the week. This is Beware the Wrath of the Girl of Steel. Oh man, get ready. She's looking pissed off. I chose a really weird angle for this because the sun is shining on it. Anyways, all the same. Moving on to Image Comics, I have one book this week. It's Mind the Gap. I'm a few issues behind on Mind the Gap, admittedly. But it is a good book, actually, to let kind of pool and then read them all at once. So there's that. Over to Marvel, which has a fairly good week this week. We have the conclusion to Age of Ultron, and because, I mean, one of the most fruitless things you could do nowadays is polybag a comic book. I do believe, actually, this particular book leaked online yesterday, so a lot of people have already read it. They do still go through, and what's weird about this book is it's not like there's a death or a cover that's revealing or anything like that. It was in the previews. We know what this cover looks like, and even if you flip through this book, there's nothing really spoiler-worthy. It wraps up pretty much the way you think it's going to. It introduces a lot of new status quo, as it were, what's going to be coming up in new events for Marvel. Ultimate Universe is going to have something going on, some Guardians of the Galaxy stuff and all that kind of fun stuff. So that's all revealed in here. Polybagging it. A nice touch to the series, which started with a holographic cover. But yeah, like I said, if you know, in the age of the internet or the age of Ultron, polybagging really not necessary. Save the plastic for bags and boards. Anyways, moving on, we have Prelude to Infinity. This is Avengers number 14, coming to us from Jonathan Hickman. Awesome book. Another book I'm actually a couple issues behind on, including Marvel Now's New Avengers right there, also from Jonathan Hickman, which is a great book. The art on both these books is fantastic. You can't tell by the covers alone. These are really, really neat books. Really great writing on them. A story that's very layered. If you've been reading it since the beginning, you very much appreciate it. If you're jumping in kind of the middle, you can read them as one-shots. It's a little bit more difficult to do, so I definitely recommend a book to jump on long term. The Spear of Spider-Man, we got number 12 here. Spider-Man is stuck on the raft. They were about to execute Alistair Smythe, and guess what? He escaped using his Spider Slayer bots. He's taken Boomerang, he's taken Scorpion, and the Vulture, and kind of weaponized them against Spider-Man, who's trapped on the raft with them. So there you go. Yeah, pretty cool story. I like the new character designs of Scorpion and Boomerang and those guys. Dr. Ock, being Spider-Man now, he knows his way kind of in and out of the raft, and he has a bunch of, like, after breaking out of it, he reinforced the raft with all these security features so that the villains couldn't escape. Security features that would have hindered him if he was then actually held in the raft. So interesting to think about, but there it is. And finally, we have Ultimate Comics, all-new Spider-Man right there. Cloak and Dagger on the front, the Ultimate Cloak and Dagger, and I don't know if I haven't been reading Ultimate Comics long enough, but I don't believe they have appeared in the Ultimate Universe before, so that's pretty cool stuff coming to us from Bendis, of course. A lot of free digital codes. Ultimate Spider-Man has one, Spear Spider-Man, Age of Ultron, and both Avengers books, so that's 5 digital codes after the show. Check that out. What else is there to say? Man of Steel's out in theaters. If you have taken time to see it, I'm gonna do, not really, you know what, I'll avoid spoilers altogether with the movie. The movie is fine. It is completely forgettable, but I felt the same way about Iron Man 3, which I saw twice. Completely fine, special effects spectacle, I feel does no harm to the characters in either way. Some people disagree on the Superman thing, but is a summer movie that will be forgotten. And unfortunately, with this track record we've had of superhero movies, what with Marvel's, you know, Avengers and all the Iron Man movies and Captain America and stuff like that, we felt they're making this big universe and they're all just going to be home runs and all this stuff. And unfortunately, it's not the case. With Man of Steel, though, DC and Warner Brothers are really kind of hinging the success on this movie on, do they go make a Justice League movie? Can they make it tonally like this? Will it work? And what Man of Steel ends up being is it's trying to have its cake and eating it too. While they're trying not to do an origin story, because God knows we don't need to see a Superman origin story, they're trying to update 100-year-old fiction to work nowadays, not devoting too much of the 2.5-hour movie to kind of showing where Clark Kent's come from. We've had an entire TV series dedicated to that. Everybody knows where Superman's from and stuff like that. They change up some of the characters a little bit. Lois Lane knows Clark is Superman right from the get-go. Speaking of Lois Lane, Amy Adams was terrible in this movie. I like Amy Adams. She was a terrible Lois Lane. So completely uninterested there. Henry Cavill, I guess his name is. Completely serviceable Clark Kent, Superman. He didn't have a lot to do. There wasn't a lot of Clark Kent in this movie, that being said, aside from a little bit at the beginning where he's just kind of milling around and whatnot. It felt, I don't want to say it felt rushed, but it felt like it tried to be too many movies in one to kind of appeal to everybody. What is cool about the movie is we do get to see Superman actually fight with special effects that make him look powerful. The only thing is when he's doing it, he has complete disregard for his surroundings and the people around him, and there's an off-screen body count in this movie, I swear to God, in the hundreds of thousands. People lose their lives left and right here. Superman takes time out of the fight, and he saves a helicopter pilot at one point, but completely negating the fact that he crashed through a gas station earlier and easily killed 20 people. Like, there's no question. There's also something that happens at the end that definitely upsets some long-term Superman fans, which apparently exist. Everyone I found that is into Superman has this like love-hate relationship with him. They want this character to succeed. They want it to be interesting and good. He's got all this history, but the fact of the matter is just he's been handled uninterestingly. I don't know what to say. I'm not a huge Superman fan, so I don't really have that big of an opinion on it. But as a movie, it was fine. Go check it out. It's completely forgettable. Anytime a special effect can be used as a plot device, it is, down to the fact that Pa Kent meets his end. God basically rips Pa Kent out of the movie. So anyways, check out Man of Steel. That's it for this week. Real quick, I finally caught up on Daredevil End of Days, which is a book I wanted to wait for a trade paperback, but just collected the issues instead because of the covers. Finally read that actually yesterday. It is a fantastic book. If you like Bendis and Malieve, Daredevil, you need to check out End of Days. If you're a Daredevil fan, check out End of Days. If you've been following the characters a little bit, read End of Days. My God, what a good book. Anyways, that is it for the Pulse this week. Look for those digital codes. We'll talk to you again next week.